Assalamu alaikum, my name is Salim Siddiqui, the son of Shamshad Ali Siddiqui, and we're continuing the story here on the hotconflict.com website about Eid, the great celebration, the festival that Muslims all around the world are gathered together to celebrate the praise of the Lord Most High and read from the Holy Word and bow their head in humility to the Lord Most High, as all of the believers in the true light do, facing towards the holy house in Mecca that Abraham and his son Ishmael built. And we're continuing to tell the story of the importance of this significant moment and celebration. And we've said that we must understand the story of the truth, and because I'm telling you the story in a way that you've never heard before and making claims that the earth has never heard before in the English language, that you're hearing some strange stuff, some weird, wild stuff, as we say, unlike any other way that you've ever heard. But I've maintained the whole time that there is nothing special about me or great about me, that I'm simply telling you a story of the truth of the light. And we said that those who call themselves Muslims are those who say the word Allah is our Lord, that Allah just means the Lord Most High, and that Muslims are those who understand the story of truth and submit to that truth, and Islam means submitting to what the Lord Most High has planned for you. And if you're listening to the story, you know that the way the story is set up is that God, the Most High, created the universe and everything that is in it, and He is the only one worthy of worship, and everything that is in the universe worships Allah, the Most High, and He is greater and higher and above His whole creation. And so the only way to truly understand God is not by any image or pagan ritual or symbol or pyramid or statue or cross, and that all the bearers of the true light told you what I am revealing to you today, that the Lord Most High is only understood as the light, and that the followers of the truth are followers of the light, and that I'm revealing to you today for the first time in the English language the story of the light from the beginning to the end. We get to an interesting point where we said we must always focus that the war is between light versus darkness, and the ramifications of this will even become more abundantly clear. But we said in this wild way, I am telling you an intergalactic tale of epic proportions about the truth of the whole universe. Because we said the Lord Most High is the one who created the whole universe. And so if He has sent prophets with the word of truth, and if the Prophet Muhammad is the last messenger with the final revelation of the word for all time, then it must answer all of the questions of all of the knowledge and all of the mysteries that mankind has ever sought. But perhaps no one has ever told you the story that I'm telling you, and so you have never understood the truth. But by God, you are hearing it today, and there is a reason. We said that on this earth, the greatest nation is America because of certain reasons, but one of their biggest flaws is that they had enslaved other sons of Adam. That white people had enslaved black people in this strange light and dark dichotomy, and a problem occurred, and that only now, after so many hundreds of years, is a certain fundamental change happening on the earth, that a black man has been nominated as president, and he hasn't made it yet, so we don't know the future. And like I said, I'm not a soothsayer or a fortune teller. Some will say, oh, there's this sign that Islam will rise from the West, and maybe Barack Obama is a sign. And I'm telling you that, yes, it is a sign, but not in the way you understood it. That by the method of Barack Hussein Obama's rise to power and the methodology that he used and the very nature of his birth in relationship to the story that I told you, that you can see that he was able to use the power of the word, and that increased everybody in the United States in the belief that change was possible. And there was a message understood throughout this whole land that we are searching for the light, and we will change if the truth of the light is told to us. And so I said that the very fact that you have chosen Barack Hussein Obama is a sign, because all of the signs that people talk about from this point on, if the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger to all of mankind, and the word that I am speaking to you must be for all of mankind, and even for the other races, that it should be known throughout the universe, as I'm sure the other races do know, that a new leader has been chosen here on the planet Earth. And that the fact that this sign has come to this noble land is an indication of a blessing. Now, if you don't think the story is true and that words specifically matter and that everything that we said in the fundamentals must be correct, then I'm going to tell you an even more strange part of the story is that we said that the fundamentals are there, that we are the greatest of all the races. We are the sons of Adam. God taught Adam the names of all things. And we said if you understand the tripped out nature of the world, that everything that I've revealed to you about God is even more wild and crazy than anything that you thought. That God, when he taught Adam the names of all things, taught Adam all the sounds and all the languages, but we have either morphed or communicated or lost some of the language and got to the point that this language is being spoken called English. And so for the first time in your own English language is coming to you a speaker of the truth, and of this there shall be signs. But that Barack Hussein Obama has come, and that we can't believe that such a person with that name, Barack Hussein Obama, came. But we said because the word, the even spoken word, is in and of itself a miracle, that everything that happens is by the blessings and power of the Lord, that I say to you this, that if you didn't see in this whole tale that the coming of a black president was a sign of a dramatic change, and that was going to be the truth of the light revealed to your nation in your own language, then I say to you that anybody who understands Arabic knows that Barack Hussein means what? Blessed sign of the good news. The good news is a term in our story for what? The story of the truth. And here I am giving to you the good news. That Barack Obama was a sign for the whole earth that they were about to be revealed the truth in their own language, meaning English, of their greatest of their technology, and the most advanced of nations on the earth is the English language. And because of my own story, I'm able to speak it to you, and the reality of that I have already revealed, of my noble mother and of my noble father. But all of this that I just told you, I didn't know 3 days ago. I didn't know any of this 3 days ago. So how is it that I'm able to tell the story? I reminded you that my father made a prayer. Oh, please, God, give me a son. Please, God, give me a son. Let my white-skinned wife, who is British and used to be Christian and now accepted Islam, give me a son who will speak the truth of the word, and maybe they might understand. And my father made that prayer, but he didn't know what it really meant. And today he's going to be given glad tidings. And I told you that because of that prayer, and my father is a believer, God sent to my parents a blessed baby. And the baby came out, and it wasn't me. I told you, no matter how strange that the story sounds and claims I make about myself, a person who tells you the story of truth never says it is because of them, because they know it's not because of them. The blessed child was my sister. And here's what happened. This is the blessed sign for her so that she knows why she was born first. It has always been my sister that took care of me because she was older than me. And because she was older than me, she had children before me. And because she had children before me, as I told you, me and her children are always communicating and talking about things. And I am like their guardian. Of my family, of the sons of Adam from my father, I am the eldest of all of our tribe. For that, there is an important sign for those who understand how the signs are to be read. And so my sister, who was born before me, who was the eldest of all of the women in our tribe, or our family, or in our link to the chains of Adam, I'm sitting there at home totally confused, as I told you, because I don't understand what's going on in the world. And I don't know what's happening around me, and everything is messed up. There is this global war going on between the East and the West, and Islam is the enemy, and there is terrorism and bombings like last week in pagan India. Muslims and Indians are clashing over the whole battle of the civilizations. And I'm talking on the radio and other places explaining the political situation, but I myself don't know the truth of the story of the light. And so as I'm sitting there in confusion at my computer, at my desk, the phone rings. And I look to see who it is, and I pick it up, and it is my sister. It is my sister. And here, now you will understand the truth of the story and the deepness of the beauty. My sister says to me, because I'm not paying attention. I told you I didn't understand anything. I'm hardly paying attention to at all, and I am a weak believer, no better than anybody else. She says to me, tomorrow is the great celebration, Eid al-Akbar. This is like 4 days ago, right? I told you. And I go, oh, okay. I had hardly even paid attention. She says, are you going to pray and worship the Lord? I said, of course, I will bring me and all of mine. And as a sign, I must tell you, a person who comes to bear the truth of the light must indicate certain signs. This is slightly embarrassing, so I'm going to say it. I am 35. It is only at this time when you ponder the truth of the light, then the true wisdom only comes. Because when you are at an age that I have been, where I am now married and have children of my own, and have gotten to the point in my life as all as the popes and preachers and ministers and mystics, I am telling you a story of the truth of the light that can be clear to any rabbi. The greatest of most knowledgeable theologians, if they listen to the story that I'm telling, it answers all of their questions, and it is proved by the very nature that I am telling you, a person who tells and reveals to the earth, to any nation that has never heard the story before, a person who comes has to bear certain signs, and of that is that they have to have a certain age, and as gray is getting into my beard, and as the great followers of Prophet Moses will say, to understand the truth of the whole universe, you gotta have the full belly. And I understand the meaning of those signs, and just so that you understand, it means that you're at a point in your life where you're full, you're not wanting because God has blessed you, but that you have also gone and sought the knowledge of the word of the Lord and understood and read the word, so that when the truth of the true light can be made to you, you are in a state of age as one of the son of Adam, of maturity, meaning in your mid-30s or beyond, so that you can understand the burden of the truth of the light. As I said, I told you before, I didn't understand any of this before 2 or 3 days ago. And I didn't know it was my destiny by the will of Allah to do that which you are magically experiencing right now. My sister says to me, are you coming to the prayer? I said, of course, I'm bringing myself and all of mine. This is the great Eid. I ask her, are you bringing all of yours? She says to me, of the children that are with me, that I take care of, there are only 3, and I will bring them all, so that all of us may pray together. And we said, of course, we're always going to pray together where all of the Muslims gather, because some Muslims, you know, they pray on their own, they pray here, there, but you should always try to go where most of the Muslims go, just as the majority of the Muslims are also praying where? In the holy house in Mecca. But we'll get to the story. And so my sister says, after the Eid celebration, we should get together and eat and share time with the family, because it is the great sign of her, my noble sister, peace and blessings be upon you, in the story of the tale, that she is the one in our family who has always prepared food and kept the family together. And in that there is an important sign for someone to get the truth of the light. But she says, one of my children must go to school, one of my children must go to work. Perhaps after the great prayer, instead of getting together, as is the way of our people, and that the Prophet has told us to come together as a family and eat a food of a blessed occasion from the sacrifice, pure food slaughtered in the name of God, she says, perhaps we can meet in the nighttime because our family should be together. And I say, unfortunately, my sister, I cannot meet with you at the nighttime. I have other things to do. Of course, I don't even understand the significance of the moment until I'm able to tell it to you now. And so we go to the prayer. And as I told you, this is a beautiful moment where Muslims all over the world are gathered together. And that at the same time on earth, understand that Muslims coming in their most basic clothing are saying, we are sons of Adam. We have no value except that we believe in the Lord, and to that we have come to your house, the only one in existence that was made by our father Abraham. And they pray there. If they are bearers of the light, can you imagine how bright that light is? And at the same time on the earth, all of the Muslims are bowing down at that same moment, and all of the earth praying towards the holy house in Mecca. And so I go with my family and my children wearing the best of clothing that my noble mother has made. Oh yes, if you've been wondering about this badass skier right here, it is made by the hand of my noble mother, that each member of our family bears a nice sign so that we should know we are from the tribes and together as a family. In this there is glad tidings for my mother of the responsibility of the story that she is maintaining, but still I don't understand the truth. And so I go to the prayer and I see all the Muslims and I listen to the sermon. And in there the Muslims have decided that they have picked a black man, one of my brothers. So listen to this, O Wazir Ali, who has been mentioned in this story, that I listened to you give the khutbah and I was very much impressed. And I thought, is this a sign of change? That here in Houston, after a long time, a black man from this place, speaking the English language, was giving the sermon of the Muslims. Now, to say the Muslims were not misguided in Houston, the previous person was also a black man, but not having the English tongue. And as we said, it is fundamental in the story for all the parts to agree that you're hearing the story about how it is that this story I'm telling you with the English tongue is being revealed on the earth for the first time. So every part of my story must indicate everything, both the dark and the light. That the prayer that I go to, that the Muslims have arranged, is an African American from here with the English tongue giving the sermon, and all of us pray together to the Lord. And in that I should have seen a sign of how all this relates, but I still didn't understand. But then something else happens between the Muslims, and you will know this, that after the prayer, each one of the Muslims bearing the light takes another Muslim in their arms and embrace them, holding them. And in that there is a sign. And for that I tell you, Eid Mubarak, brothers and sisters who are Muslims who are listening to the story. If you're listening to the story of the truth, of the light, you are understanding for the first time what it means to go to Eid and say this is a great celebration and to embrace one another for the truth of the light. But as I told you, I still didn't understand anything of what I'm telling to you. When I continue to tell this tale, you will think it is more amazing than anything you've ever heard. So, as every people do, we prayed for a few minutes and listened to a few words of the Quran, the great word, and all of this is a miracle in and of itself. But go back to the story and see. I want to explain to you why it is that I am here to tell you this truth, like no son of Adam has ever spoken in the English words, so that all of mankind knows from this point on that the truth of the light has been spoken. And Allah, the Lord Most High, who is controller of all of the universe, has planned all things. I am not great, just the moment must be marked. And so I leave the prayer of the Muslims, and my sister tells me before we leave that let's just all go back to my house anyway. Let's spend a few moments with the family, right? I mean, who cares about the kids going to school or one of them going to work? They'll be a little bit late. So we go together, my family in my car. I get to to my sister's house. And as I said, it is my sister who is the one who brings the family together, and always her house she invites. I've never invited anybody over for anything. I admit I am terrible in the story. Don't follow me. Just listen to the tale, because the reason I am able to tell you this tale is there for you to understand in the whole story of the truth of this light. So I go to my sister's house, and as she is preparing the food, I see on the table in my sister's house a book that says, "The Stories of All the Signs of the Hour of the End of Days." And I say, hey, who bought this book? Because the last time I was talking to my family, we were talking about the signs of the end of days and things to come. And one of the things that we talked about was that this idea that the sun will rise in the west, and Muslims always talk about the sun rising in the west. And so since so many strange things are happening in this place called United States of America, some people have began to falsely say that Barack Hussein Obama is a Muslim, when he doesn't ever swear to being a Muslim. And Islam is not something you hide. Once you know the truth of the light, you never need to hide it. As I am saying to you, I know the story of the truth of the light, and I am one who calls myself Muslim because I submit to the truth. That I say Barack Hussein Obama is not a Muslim unless he declares so, and that is always up to him, as any free man can do. And even a black man is free who might become president of the United States, so even he should be able to admit Islam if he hears the story of the truth of the light and is wanting to understand how he himself has been granted such a noble position in the story, if he chooses to accept. But I made a claim even crazier than that, that the advent of Barack Hussein Obama was an indication to all of the world who sees the West as the great power and the English language as controlling, that someone was about to come to you telling you the truth of the story of the light so that you could never doubt it. But I didn't know it was me. I didn't know it was going to be me. I didn't have a clue of what the rising of the sun in the west could mean, and many people interpreted it as Islam coming in the west. And so I am going to tell you what happens next, and it is this that is so strange, that by Allah, let it be known that if ever there was a person who takes the statement of the messenger and says that one day will come that the sun rises in the west, and that means that Islam will be made clear in the west, that it is by Allah I am swearing that if you thought that hadith meant that, if that's what you thought the hadith meant, if you thought it was metaphorical and someone would speak the truth of the light, then I am swearing by Allah, the worthy person who gets the noble honor of that interpretation of that hadith, his name is Shamshad Ali Siddiqui, my father, because of his prayer. Because no man has come ever raising the metaphorical light in the West before today that I am doing it. This is the first time to the West that the story of the light has ever been seen. I am continuing to tell you the story so that you understand why it is exactly what it is. And I have been telling you my own personal tale and how I got the story, because the one who reveals the truth must tell you exactly how he got the story of the light. And if I can explain all of this, then I must be able to explain the truth of your own soul. As every person who ever bared the truth of the light must be able to explain the mysteries of your soul. But before I get too excited and you get too excited, this is still to come, because the story's not over. It must get greater and more magnificent than I have told so far. But before I tell you anything more, I must disclose again that there is nothing special about me. Everybody who hears this tale will know that it is the truth, except for those who wish to deny the truth of the light. It is at this strange moment that something happens to me that changes everything. I am sitting in my sister's house, and I pick up the book of the signs of the final hour that we have, translated in English, and I start to look through it, and I see a statement of the prophet. I read a statement of the prophet that I have read many times before. I read a statement of the prophet that I have read many times before, and a thought enters my mind that this is really an amazing statement of the prophet. But still, I don't know what is going on in the universe. And still, I don't know the truth of the reality. Let's go back and stay with the fundamentals, because I've made such huge claims that sometimes the claims are so gigantic that the fundamentals get lost. We said that this is a story about one and only one fundamental, that there is only one God. He is the Lord Most High. He is the one who created you and me and everything that is alive on this planet and everything that is alive in the universe. He made the earth, the sun, the stars, the moon. Everything that we know of in this universe is the creation of the Lord. He is higher than that. This is what those who call themselves Muslims believe, and we use the term Allah to mean the one and only God, as revealed in our own books as the way that the people of this tongue of Arabic have always referred to the great and most glorious, magnificent Lord. Allah, Allahu Akbar. He is greater than all things. And so the truth is that God told us the fundamentals of the story, that He created angels of the light, and sometimes they come to descend to the earth, sometimes as men, but always bearing the truth and never bearing falsehood. They cannot do anything other than the will of the Lord. They do not have free will. But there are other creations that do have free will, called the Jinn, or the aliens, or the smokeless fire beings, that we have demonstrated throughout the story from the beginning of time, as Adam learned in this story that we have told you. And they do one thing and one thing only: deceive you about the truth of the light. And the light is always the reference we use to describe the one true God, because the one true God can never be described by any symbol or pattern or image. Gloried is God above all of that. And that's how come anybody who actually reveals the story of the truth of the light marks and knows the clear signs of the planets, because he is coming with the word of the light. And as I am claiming to be a person who is revealing you the truth only by the will of the Lord, I must show you the signs of why it is. And I must always remind you to remember that this is a battle for your soul, beyond any petty human struggle, beyond any petty race war, beyond any petty gender gap, beyond any political country or flag or nation or dispute. This is a battle for your own soul between light and dark, an intergalactic struggle, and I will prove every part of it. And I said, as someone who bears the truth, I must have the clear signs and explain everything, all of the answers that mankind has ever yearned, and be able to tell a story that is so deep and so grand and magnanimous and complicated and intricate, that tells you a tale from the beginning of time till the end of time, so that you could never doubt, because falsehood must be made clear. And you are hearing this story as is being sworn to you by the will of the Lord for the first time on this planet Earth. For the first time any of the sons of Adam have ever spoken the word. You are being told the story of the truth of the light for the first time. And in that, for you, is a sign. But I myself didn't know any of this until what happened next. Please let me take a break.